At this point, Joseph, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, the floor is yours, and welcome.
Thank you, Jorge and Christina and the HACIA members. We appreciate the opportunity to present this morning, and I also do want to thank our newest board member, Juan Pablo, who's been recently joined our board and really has been quite a resource as we continue to look at ways where we've gotten through or continue to get through this pandemic and planning for the future. So, but before I jump in, Juan Pablo, did you want to say anything to the attendees today?
Thank you, Joseph. Good morning, everyone. For those of you I don't know, my name is Juan Pablo Prieto. I am the Director of Diversity Programs at CTA, but as Jorge and Joseph said, I'm a newly appointed board member at the Spanish Coalition for Housing, and we were discussing projects that were coming down the pike at Spanish Coalition. I thought about, how can we get good MWBE participation on these projects? So I'm happy to have facilitated this and hope you all get some good information and ask some good questions and make sure we get some good participation in the projects. Thanks, Joseph.
Excellent. Thank you, Juan Pablo. Thank you, Jorge. So we'll jump right into it. So I serve as the executive director of the Spanish Coalition for Housing. Been with the organization for a little over 3 years. I came in to serve as their resource development director, policy, and marketing director, and transitioned into the executive director role. As you know, since the pandemic, many nonprofits have really been triaging the situation in terms of how best to service our communities. We've been fortunate enough to really pivot quickly and continue to support the affordable housing needs of the region. And we can go through the PowerPoint. I think Christina, do you want to pull that up? Awesome. So, okay, great. We can proceed to the next slide. So in today's agenda, we're just going to provide a high-level overview of who we are as a nonprofit organization, our role here in Chicago and in the greater Chicagoland region, provide a project's overview in terms of the opportunities in which we have been provided with our partnership with the state of Illinois to expand our footprint across Chicago, and how best to really prepare and deliver our services to thousands of households throughout the city. Talk a bit specifically about the Rebuild Illinois Capital Program, in which we are a grant recipient of, and this is the funding mechanisms that are enabling us to embark on these capital development projects. There are 3 sites we'll talk about, and then we'll go into the project timeline, talk a bit about next steps, and then we'll open it up for questions and answers as well. So a little bit about ourselves. Spanish Coalition for Housing. We are one of the largest HUD certified housing and urban development housing counseling organizations in Chicago and the Midwest. For 45 years, we've been servicing households, thousands of households on their path to home ownership. We help to create homeowners to get them mortgage ready. We also help to preserve home ownership. Since 1972, we've found a significant growth in our ability to support communities during economic crises. We were one of the key partners in the state of Illinois' foreclosure prevention program, where we were able to provide foreclosure preventive counseling to save over 25,000 homeowners and help them to retain home ownership across Illinois. For many of those reasons, we were awarded the 2018 Housing Counseling Agency of the Year here in the state of Illinois. Next slide, please. So our portfolio programs include homeowner and landlord services. We have one of the largest small landlord associations. We work closely with the city of Chicago. Small landlords are 2 to 4 unit property owners. We offer them support services, ongoing education, and connection to resources to help ensure that their properties remain affordable. We offer financial education and wellness, as well as I indicated, foreclosure prevention counseling. One of our newest offerings are reverse mortgage counseling. This is a very specific counseling product to help seniors leverage the equity in their homes and ensure that their lifestyle and properties remain affordable. One of our biggest programs continues to be our homebuyer education program, where we provide homebuyer education and counseling. So over 1,000 households this past year, 2019. We've seen a slight dip in 2020, but we pivoted to our remote-based platform. So currently we have a little over 700 plus households in that pipeline on their path to home ownership. We work with lenders, government institutions to leverage affordable lending products to ensure homeownership is affordable. We do rental assistance, one of our rental assistance counseling as well, utility assistance, emergency funds, and we coordinate with CHA as well to provide access to their programs and services. Next slide, please. We take a regional approach. We're one of the few nonprofit housing counseling agencies that is citywide. We have our North Region office, which is located on Pulaski and Armitage in the Hermosa Logan Square community. We have our Southwest Region operation. For quite some time, we were located in the Pilsen community. We're at a point now where we're looking at expanding our footprint out in the Southwest region, and that kind of falls into today's project discussion. We have a Southeast Region office, which is located in South Chicago and Southeast side. And we've been servicing these the regions across the city for, I would say, equally over 25 to 30 years as well, but we originated on the city's north side. We are currently offering services through telehousing counseling. So what is a HUD certified housing counselor? HUD certified housing counselor is really trained to guide someone on the path to homeownership. What the counselor can do is we advise clients on how best to prevent foreclosure, to buy a home, to build their credits, and to improve their financial health overall. So our services are provided at no cost to our clients. And once again, that's the importance of us continuing to partner with both public-private partnerships to offer these services to the community. Next slide, please. One of the key programs during the pandemic has been our emergency mortgage rental assistance program. We're offering support to renters and homeowners who experience economic hardship from COVID-19. For the most part, as we all know, the economic hardship has been unemployment, furlough, reduction in wages. So we've been able to leverage 15,000 emergency mortgage assistance and 5,000 in emergency rental relief for eligible households. For non-COVID related hardships, we have up to 5,000 in rental mortgage assistance. This is through partnership with the state of Illinois, with the city of Chicago, and private foundations. Since the pandemic, we've been able to get out $1 million in direct assistance to stabilize housing for over 450 Chicago households, impacting a little over 1,200 individuals through our telehousing counseling and limited in-person appointments. So the team has been at the front lines triaging, really leveraging the larger scale partnerships and ensuring that our services remain accessible to our communities across Illinois and Chicago. Next slide, please. So I just want to include our 2019 impacts and some 2019. So obviously no one could have planned for 2020, but traditionally our reach has been significant from a community and economic development standpoint. I indicated foreclosure prevention just in 2019, 663 households. I do want to point out we service multiple sides of the housing spectrum. So on the one end, we help to create homeowners to access affordable lending products and resources to invest in community through affordable home ownership. 2019 was our peak year. We were able to create 255 first-time homebuyers, leveraging a little over 43 million in affordable home mortgage loans, specifically for home ownership. As I indicated, we have several hundred in the pipeline, and we continue to see that as well. We're a major market conduit in this space, creating home ownership and community investment through home ownership. Financial capability is always a cornerstone of our programming because many folks who we service in the Latinx, Latino, Black communities and low to moderate income communities across the region oftentimes need support in improving their financial health and credit. Our financial coaches help them to do that and to reach their goals. And oftentimes much of those goals are to get on the path to home ownership. Our post-purchase counseling has always been huge. Not only do we get folks in their homes, but we want to ensure that they're sustainable and they keep their homes. So about 1,600 households we counseled in 2019 to help do that. One of the other items I do want to point out is our Chicago Bilingual Housing Landlord Association. We are the only partner here in the city of Chicago working closely with the Department of Housing and the 311 office call center to provide technical assistance to small landlords. This technical assistance could be the one-on-one counseling for tenant management issues, as well as opportunities for property rehab and connecting them to resources and grant programs to ensure that they have access to those opportunities to sustain affordable housing, to build wealth through property ownership. And of course, homeless prevention, we were only at 75 last year during this time. Obviously, at the start of since the pandemic, we've did quadruple these numbers significantly. And as you've seen it from the previous slide, 450 and counting households accessing our emergency fund to prevent homelessness. Next slide, please.
Joseph, just a quick reminder, just kind of raise the active. We're getting some calls, some notes that the audio.
Oh,
so if you just.
Okay, sure. Thank you, Jorge. So just jumping specifically into our capital development projects. So as indicated through the state of Illinois, we've been able to secure appropriation to support 3 public purpose capital projects to accommodate site improvements, relocation, and operational expansion. Site 1 includes improvements to our existing facility, headquartered on the northwest side, our Northwest Region Housing and Financial Wellness Center. Site 2 is property acquisition and redevelopment to accommodate Southwest Region Housing and Financial Wellness Center. Site 3 is same property acquisition and redevelopment to also accommodate South Region Housing and Financial Wellness Center. As I indicated, we have a presence in all of these regions currently. Site 1 is our existing facility and headquarters, in which we own outright. Site 2 and 3 would be opportunities to expand their footprint, relocate from a lease space that we've currently leased in these regions, and invest in community through acquisition and redevelopment to accommodate these 2 housing and financial wellness centers. Next slide, please. So some general guidelines for the Rebuild Illinois Capital Program. So they are bondable funds through the state of Illinois. As you know, back in 2019, through Governor Pritzker and the General Assembly, authorized a capital improvements program. It's been quite some time since the state has been in that position to do that. The capital initiatives include obviously the traditional roads, schools, and bridges, vertical construction, as well as horizontal construction, horizontal investments. The vertical investments continue to be community development opportunities and working with non-governmental agencies, such as the Spanish Coalition for Housing, to invest in these public works, public purpose projects. So funding does support site selection, land and building acquisition, demo, prep work, new construction of buildings, reconstruction improvements, and of course, the useful life of the project has to be greater than or equal to the average life of bond issuance. Oftentimes, the state's bonds are issued at 25-year level principals. Average life is approximately 13 years. Next slide, please. A couple requirements associated with this program include compliance to prevailing wage requirements, employment of Illinois workers on Public Works Acts. Now, this may be a requirement that is kicked in during the current economic crisis that we're in, as well as the public health crisis, given the high unemployment rates here in the state. So we'll continue to keep a watchful eye on those level of compliance requirements under that particular act. The minimum goals for BEP, business enterprise programs pursuant to the state's statute. Generally, it's about 5% minority-owned business enterprises and 5% female-owned business enterprises for construction projects. Not less than 10% of the total dollar amount of state construction contracts is established as a goal to be awarded to minority and female-owned businesses. Once again, we're continuing to coordinate with DCEO to get further information on this as well. But I did, as it traditionally has been, those are the basic minimum. Obviously, because we've been in the communities for 45 years, we understand the value of diversification and working within our communities and looking at the economic impact that these programs, these projects can have across our communities as well. Next slide, please. So we'll jump quickly into the project. So project site conditions, project one, which I'm identifying as our headquarters, is located at 1922 North Pulaski. The current conditions is 2-story commercial property. First floor, 3,200 square feet. Second floor, well, 3,200 square feet as well. First floor is a little over 3,200. Total building gross is about 6,430 square feet. What you're seeing on your screen is the frontage of the property that's off of Pulaski Road, and then the picture of some of the interior hallways. Now the property we've been in this property and acquired it a little back in 2013. Exterior, and next slide, that's fine. Next slide, please. So this is additional photos of the property, exterior and internal conditions, interior conditions of the property. Currently, obviously, during the crisis, we're not operating fully at full capacity at these locations, but our capital grants will allow us for site improvements to this property. When it was originally designed, it was designed, we have some limited functionality in the space usage. Much of our operations have been in cubicles. We do have office space on the second floor, as well as our training rooms on the first and second floor. So one of the things, being off of Pulaski Road, has been it's like we're off of a major highway. As you know, we have major vehicular traffic on Pulaski, so maybe opportunities to explore enhancing the frontage of our facility as well, to kind of minimize that level of noise coming from the vehicle traffic. Next slide, please. Project sites 2 and 3 will allow for property acquisition and improvement to accommodate office operations, as I indicated, our housing and financial wellness centers. Our target sites will remain in the southwest region of the city. So I like to call it along the I-55 Stevenson corridor. And then the project site 3 will also be within the southeast region, specifically within communities of South Chicago and our east side. Our property specifications include looking at a commercial property, at least at minimum of 2,400 square feet and above. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Great. So pre-development phase and site selection. The current opportunity I did want to present to members today is architectural services is something we're really looking to acquire and partner on to assist us in project conceptualizations, both from sites 1 through 3. Currently, we are working with CBRE on property identification for sites 2 and 3. We would consider pro bono service for initial phase of the project conceptualization. And the value added to that is really the opportunity to partner with a firm or architect to really partner with one of Chicagoland and Midwest's premier housing counseling organizations, and the public acknowledgement of the collaboration, the heightened brand recognition across the region. So we're excited about that possibility. Next slide, please. So here's a rough overview of our project timeline. We're looking to develop the scope of services for an RFP for a general contractor, project management firm during the winter of 2020. So that takes us from, I would say, January through March. The bid due is estimated around February and March of 2021. Secure pro bono architectural firms would be key. Our target anticipated time frame for that is December through January, December of this year into January of 2021. We would also like to secure the GC project manager for construction cost estimates around the same time as well, at least no later than February to March. We complete project conceptualization of our north office, because that's the office, obviously, that we do have, the facility that we currently have property ownership and control over. And we look to ideally move on that in December of 2020 through January 2021. Same situation, many of these timelines do fall along parallel tracks as we do our site selection for both the Southwest region and the Southeast region. We are looking to get expertise and build out our team. And that's where kind of the architectural support would help us to really conceptualize these prospective sites to really determine if those best fit our needs. At the end of the day, we're looking to prioritize our project development tracks. Obviously, in an ideal world, we'd love to say all 3 projects would happen simultaneously, but we're not. But we're very strategic about how best we can phase in these projects. You know, the goal would be to begin office improvements for our north headquarters no later than April of 2021 through September 2021, and then begin our improvements on our second sites, which I put site 1, but that would be the second site, whether that is on the east side or the southwest side, beginning August of 2021 through January 2022, and then straddling that time period to begin the site improvements to that third site, at least no later than November 2021 through April 2022. So it is a pretty aggressive timelines, I believe, but you know, looking through providing, getting some information from our development team, and of course partnerships that we're working to build out to provide some additional guidance on this. I think we would adjust accordingly as well. Next slide, please. So next steps. I do want to just once again thank HACIA for the opportunity. I think one of the next steps, you know, really be to, if you're interested to further learn more about the project, to reach out to myself, J. Lopez at scforhousing.org, to discuss your interests and the initial conceptualization phase. You know, what I ask is if you please make sure to highlight any past experience in working with nonprofits, and then estimated cost of savings of pro bono services. As a nonprofit organization, you know, we value talent and resources and the economic impact that these projects can have in our communities. But also we understand that, you know, if there are other costs associated with services, we'd like to get a sense of what that could possibly look like. And of course, availability. Our time frame, the time frame that I just reviewed with you, is an estimated time frame. As you know, as you can tell, there are obviously 3 projects that we would look to move forward on, and whether it is phased in during that period or there's some adjustments to those timings, you know, we'll work on adjusting that as appropriate as well. But your availability or your firm's availability would also be key to understanding those opportunities to partner. Next slide, please. Okay, so we'll jump into any questions. So I know the audio was cutting in and out, and I do apologize. I know that was a lot of information, but I did want to kind of tee it up to let folks know that our work and in the community, what we've done, our years in serving Chicagoland, over 45, being one of the leading housing counseling organizations in the Midwest, and the excitement about us planning for the future, moving through this pandemic into recovery, and continuing to be a leading anchor institution in servicing Chicagoland. So with that said, I'll, any questions?
We have one question here. What will the selection criteria be for the architecture firm?
So with the selection criteria, I think one of the things that we'd like to really get a sense of is their experience in working with nonprofit organizations. I think you know, their availability, as well as you know, the looking at you know, any opportunities for pro bono and or service delivery that would kind of be factored into any reasonable cost of architectural services. I think that at the front end, conceptualization is where we're at in terms of getting architectural services to help us conceptualize these projects. And so we did want to open up those opportunities to at least interface with prospective architects and architectural firms to kind of gauge from them some of their thoughts and of course experience in this space as well. Does that answer your question? And I don't know, Juan Pablo, did you want to add to that as well? Any?
I think you covered it well.
Okay.
We have two more questions here. Are you only selecting one architect for all three or multiple?
Well, I think we would be open to one or multiple. I would say, based off of the availability of architects, looking at the opportunities to leverage these resources. I think, because we are presenting this opportunity at this platform, that we would be open to have those dialogues and look at what works out best for the organization as well.
Perfect. We have another question. Will an RFQ be issued for these opportunities?
We are looking at RFQ for the general contractor opportunities. Yes, and project manager. So that would be something that we, our timeline to issue the RFQ, as I indicated from an earlier slide, we'd like to prepare that and have it available to the public in January, and kind of proceeding from there.
But if I can, Joseph, so then just to clarify, so then are you going to just ask for statement of qualifications from architects first, and that will be assisting you in writing the RFQ for GCs, for general contractor? I just want to clarify that, because I did get some questions on my phone on this, so directly. So can you clarify that then?
Yes, absolutely. So I would say that for the architect, yes, we would look to offer up a request for qualifications from architects. I think that was where I initially indicated, getting to know what architects are available, some of their experiences. Obviously, we haven't put together a robust RFQ at this time, but I think just on the basic components of a prospective firm or individual would be, their experience in working in the nonprofit space, their availability, and their opportunity to leverage their resources. So,
okay. Yes. Yeah, because the audience today is our architectural firms, as well as some of our construction management firms. So in terms of doing everything from the architectural services to the owner's rep services and helping you to actually the construction management of it, that's who we're speaking with today. The contractors, I think some of them may do that role as well, but who are on the call, but there's a larger list as well. I would also want to add, Joseph, that the requirements for the BEP component, clearly in terms of the opportunity here, we would urge you to see how we can make it 100% HACIA designed and constructed. And if you get into any sort of challenges with the BEP requirement, I believe most of the folks on the call right now are all BEP certified or FEP certified. If they are not, there is a quick turnaround, a new initiative that the state's Central Management Services has created in the last few months to fast track someone's BEP certification. So if you get a statement of qualification and may not have it, and someone that you're looking at strongly, there is a way that we can actually help expedite that. But I'm pretty sure that most of the folks on the call this morning are BEP or FEP certified. So I just wanted to emphasize that with you.
Excellent, thank you, Jorge. And I think our goal really today was one, to introduce our services, to kind of talk through the opportunities that we've been able to be very resourceful at leveraging these public dollars, and looking at how best to really design these projects appropriately as we move forward into 2021. So okay. Jorge, I'll probably get offline with you as well and kind of talk through some of those logistics. And great.
Sure.
And we have
Chris, any more questions?
Yeah, we have a few more. Will an architectural team be providing input on site selections for site 2 and 3, or will CBRE finalize selection independently?
I would see the value in an architectural team supporting site selection for sites 2 and 3. I think because one of the key pieces as we're reviewing the site selection prospects is the conceptualization piece. So I see that as a value in terms of an architectural firm being a part of that.
Perfect. We have more questions here. You mentioned an internal development team. Is there a point person that will oversee and coordinate the 3 projects, or will you be hiring an owner's representative?
I think given the scope of these projects, we may look to hire an owner's representative. Obviously, I'd love to say I have this bandwidth internally. Outside of my experience in serving as an urban planner, there's some limited bandwidth there. So I would probably look to hire an owner's rep.
Perfect. Here goes another one. Would you like a cost breakdown included within proposal for services after pro bono services conceptualization is performed?
Yes, that would be ideal.
And then will you be working with an owner's rep on these projects?
One has not been identified, but I think that is an area that we'd like to explore.
Perfect. Is there a due date on when you'd like to receive information from our firms?
I would say for the firms, love to start receiving information or just an initial engagement or interest. And I'm pulling up the calendar. We are looking at at least beginning by the 22nd of December, no later than, for some initial interest. And then we can continue to engage folks throughout.
Okay.
Sorry about that. I have my energy efficiency lights going off here.
I think that's okay. With this audience, lead is important, so it's all good.
Yes.
We have one more question unless more pop up. Is there a deadline for architectural firms to submit their qualifications, and where should this qualification be sent to?
Now, I would say that we would look at the deadline once again. I would say by no later than the end of the year, December 31st. The qualifications, as I mentioned, was really on the earlier slides, which I said, if there are architectural firms interested to explore those opportunities, to highlight any of their past experience in working with nonprofits, estimated cost savings of possible pro bono services, and what is the value and what other costs would be associated, if any, and their availability. I would say, realistically, no later than December 21st. The 22nd, I did mention that as a date because our offices are physically closed beginning the week of the 28th as well.
Perfect. And here we have, speaking of any energy efficiency, what are your sustainability goals?
Excellent question. That would be something that we would love to explore and conceptualize with the expanded team, like an architectural firm and services.
Perfect. Oh, we have a question here. Can HACIA give access to this PowerPoint? Yes, we can send it to you all as soon as the meeting ends. I will send it out.
Great.
Chris, I have a couple of questions over here that Juan had received. So I'm going to read them out. It's in regards to funds, Joseph. So when are the funds distributed? Juan had just stepped out, but I'm assuming if the person is still on the call, you can put it in the chat to clarify, but I'm assuming that's the grant dollars distributed to you.
Yes.
So if anything in terms of the funding?
Right. So these are our bond finance funds through the Rebuild Illinois program. So the distribution is provided on a phase-by-phase basis. So there are some mobilization funds at the front end as the project is fully scoped out and submitted to the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity. And then as we proceed with qualifying costs, those funds are then reimbursed as well to our organization. The projects will include a mixture of public funds as well as our own equity and private funds.
Gotcha. Excellent. Okay, then there's another question here. In terms of the actual profile of the borrower of who you service? Is it a homeowner only, or is it small businesses that request funds or assistance from you and your group?
Right. Currently, it is individuals, homeowners, renters, individuals who are small businesses as well. I mean, as entrepreneurs, many entrepreneurs are homeowners. They leverage their assets like a second mortgage to help out with their capital costs of operating a small business. What we do is we connect them with resources to help ensure that their housing is stabilized and that they have access to these grant programs so that they can leverage other capital to invest in their small business as well. So we at the end of the day, it's for individual housing, whether it's homeowners or renters or small landlords. And oftentimes many of our clients are small business owners.
Okay. Hey, listen, with the couple things, this is sort of my question. With obviously the pandemic and the sort of the homeowner challenges and foreclosures still going, obviously you've got a better forecast of that from where you sit. Do you see the new administration and maybe a renewed look at how HUD works with groups like you? Do you see that increasing your opportunity of funding to do more? Or how do you look at that at this point?
Right, great question. We're excited about the opportunities with the new administration. As I indicated at the height of the foreclosure crisis, we were able to service over 25,000 households to save their homes. And that was associated with federal funds that came through what was called the National Mortgage Foreclosure Crisis Funds. We've even through the proposed legislation now in Capitol Hill with the HEROES Act and additional stimulus packages, we're seeing opportunities for the direct support of housing counseling services across the nation, and that we would be in position to really connect with those resources and provide this additional assistance. We like to say we're going to avoid a major foreclosure crisis that won't repeat itself as the last foreclosure crisis did. But we know, and just looking at the indicators, it's a high probability that we'll have a lot of folks still struggling with their mortgage. Private lender forbearance programs will be over, and the federal government is looking to try to hedge that as well. So there'll be plenty of opportunity to grow in that space of foreclosure, but also to continue to support home ownership opportunities.
Gotcha. And that's a really good point. What you said about the small business owners, you're helping that part of their global financial picture, but it definitely does have a lot to do with their home ownership and that aspect of it. So that's a very, very key point. Another question here, are your services only available to homeowners? I think you may have mentioned that, answered that. But small business owners, but they have to come through in terms of it being their home, correct?
Correct. So it's available to homeowners, property owners. So whether you own a single family home or a multi-unit property, traditionally 2 to 4 units, or you're a renter and you're renting across Chicago and Cook County, our services are there to support them. One of the key services that I would say 80% of households access is our utility assistance. We help them to ensure that their utilities remain affordable. But then for those that are leveraging finances and other grant opportunities, that's really in our home buyer education space or our home ownership preservation space.
Okay. And out of curiosity here, because I think it sort of begs a question. Whenever you mention multi-unit buildings, a lot of the folks on the call today do services and do work with multi-unit buildings from 4 units up to 12 or 24 and so forth. If there is an opportunity where you could mention, obviously, the services that our members can provide them, that would be a nice conduit and sort of, synergy there, because you could provide them a resource of vetted firms, both on the architectural side as well as construction management, but on the construction side as well. We have members who do large union-only required work, but we have another sector of our membership that does a lot of the projects that you just mentioned in the multi-units. So I just wanted to highlight that with you as well.
Absolutely, that sounds great. I mean, and when Juan Pablo made the connection with HACIA, obviously there's immediate synergy, and I think with your membership and the breadth of network that the association has, and in our breadth of experience in the marketplace, there's definitely synergy in that regard. So love to continue to explore that.
All right, Christina, any other questions on your end?
We have one more. What is the demographic you serve? Is it predominantly Spanish-speaking communities?
Great question. So we serve over 10,000 households annually. We serve, I would say our portfolio is a mix of connecting with communities across the region. So it's not only predominantly Spanish-speaking, it is inclusive of it, but we have approximately, from a percentage standpoint, about 70% Latino, Latinx households, and 25% African-American Black households. And down to that is just mixed race households across the region, really reflective of the city of Chicago, if you will. So our services are city and county-wide. We also go as far, I would say, southeast as Northwest Indiana. So our services reflect the diversity of the marketplace.
Great.
We have no questions on my end.
All right. If there's no other questions, then we'll bring this to a close. I want to thank Joseph Lopez.
One last one. Let's do one last
All
one.
right.
Got it in.
It's like double dutch.
Is a specific qualifications format for architects? Is there a specific qualifications format for architects, or just reach out through email?
So you can reach out through email at this point in time.
Perfect. I think that's it.
Yeah, and again, we will make the slides available to everyone who's on the call today. So please feel free, we'll send them to you, and vice versa. If you don't get them, please feel free to contact us at our offices at HACIA. And I do want to mention as well that I've known Spanish Coalition for Housing for a while. I do know some individuals a while back who used our services. They were going through the 01, 02 recession and had some housing concerns and needs, and definitely helped them save their home. So I do know of this group as well. So it would be a great opportunity here where HACIA and the Spanish Coalition for Housing can team up on this. And clearly their services are going to be needed going forward until this mess gets resolved. We do obviously see light at the end of the tunnel, but no one knows exactly how long it's going to be. If I could predict that, I would be doing something else. But nonetheless, again, I want to thank Joseph Lopez, Executive Director of Spanish Coalition for Housing, for being on today. And I also want to thank Juan Pablo Prieto, who's one of their board members, but our good friend over at the CTA. If there are no other questions, I do want to, again, thank you for your membership. Thank you for membership to HACIA and support of HACIA. Hope you have a great day. Stay safe, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Take care now.